Well, it is Saturday night, and I'm sitting on a bed in my mother's home. And anybody who might be watching this video could probably tell that I've had very little sleep. I am not at my best right now, for sure. It's been a really long day, and it's not over yet. But I wanted to do this video tonight. I've had really some pretty major thoughts today around forgiveness and some experiences that were just kind of startling to me. And so many people work on forgiveness. It's such a universal issue. We carry around so much pain from our experiences where we were not nurtured, or we were not cared for, or we were abused, taken for granted, neglected, harmed, on and on and on. And those experiences, of course, are so legitimate. So much of what I do or have done in my therapy practice, of course, is to acknowledge and validate someone's experience, because many people who come to my office have never talked about their histories. But then a lot of what needs to happen for many people is to work on forgiveness. And it's so challenging, it's so complex, and a lot of times so cliched. But forgiveness is difficult. First of all, how do you forgive someone who's not asking for it? How do you forgive someone who's never acknowledged the harm they've caused you? What is the purpose of that, right? In that context, forgiving someone who's never asked for it or never acknowledged to you the hurt that they've caused your life is a radical act of self-love. But it's not easy, and it's a process. Forgiveness, of course, can be different. Forgiveness can come when somebody has reached out and acknowledged their vulnerability and their culpability. And I see that as shared humanity. And forgiveness in that context is different, right? So for me today, I hope that no one from this family whose funeral I went to today sees this video. I kind of doubt they will, but if they do, the authenticity behind it is just what it is. But for me today, I was spending time with family members, some of whom were not always kind and loving to my mother. These are her family. Some of whom were not always kind and loving to me and my brother as we went through some really difficult times in my childhood that were, of course, completely outside of our control as children. And due to a really strange set of circumstances, I found myself sitting literally right next to the ashes of the woman who died. I was in the front of the church, and I'm not a Christian, I'm not a believer, so it was really startling to be so front and so much front, and then to be next to the ashes of the woman who was being celebrated at Mass. And as I was sitting there, the woman who died was a matriarch of a really big family, and very beloved by the people in her community and by her family, and rightfully so. But authenticity here is that she was, when I was vulnerable at the ages of 11, 12, or 13, was really unkind to me. And of course never acknowledged that to me. And I'm 50 now, as I've said before. And I've had to do in the last 5 years a ton of work in my own therapy, in my own process around forgiveness for many things in my life and people, and forgiving myself. That's a whole other topic, of course, that we must do. But as I was in this beautiful Mass today, I spent some time quietly looking at my aunt's ashes, and I forgave her. I said it in my head repeatedly, I forgive you. And it felt good. It felt right. and I could turn down the pew and see people in that pew who also I have some forgiveness work to do. And I feel really positive about starting some more of that work. Another thing I want to share that happened to me today, I do find that over the last few years, I'm starting to see connections in the universe that I wouldn't have noticed before. And I don't know what it all means, but I have just been assailed by little incidents and things that are shocking to me. So, another thing that happened to me today is I was sitting in this place. We went to dinner after the funeral at a place that I used to visit with my father during a really pivotal time in my life that was also a really painful time in my life in many ways in my teenage years. And during that time, I had a stepsister who went through a lot of things with me. We went through things together. And we went our separate ways after a lot of complex things happened. And she and I have had very different views on things, and we've really been disconnected. And the strangest thing happened was when I was sitting at this restaurant that I associate with my dad, who's long deceased, in this family, under the circumstances I just described, I got a message from this former stepsister. I hadn't posted on social media at that time. She had no way of knowing that I was there. And her message was a message of vulnerability, humbleness, love, acknowledgement of things on her part that may have caused pain between us. And of course, I was completely floored, and I still am. I have so much to process. So this is a long video post about forgiveness and how when you open your heart, at least I believe, when you open your heart to start forgiving, again, as a radical act of self-love, I think it opens doors. And one of my biggest tasks right now is to open my heart. And oftentimes I will sit and I will open my arms so that I open my heart. It's a process for me right now, very actively. So I just have to accept that those things all happened in one very layered, complex day that I will have to process a good bit. And maybe some of this, if anybody out there is actually listening to this really long video, maybe you might relate to some of that. I am going to do a forgiveness meditation that's kind of long, so I'm just going to warn you. You can check out right now. But before I do that, I want to share a song that is incredibly special to me, and it's so special that I might get tearful. I don't want to do that, but I think I must be starting out this video series with all my special songs. Maybe they'll get less special as the year goes on, but I've listened to this one probably 200 times in the last 6 months, and it is a song called, or by Brandi Carlile, who's just an amazing songwriter and a really warm human. And her song is called Every Time I Hear That Song. But it's really the title track to her new album, which is about forgiveness. And so I think the album title is By the Way I Forgive You. And the song, Every Time I Hear That Song, is actually about forgiveness. And it's incredible. And it's so perfect. And so tomorrow when I drive back to New Orleans from Baton Rouge, I will be listening to Brandi Carlile. And I'm going to be calling my stepsister and talking about vulnerability and forgiveness and having an open heart. So that said, I am going to do a meditation right now. I'm not going to do it, of course, but I'm going to lead it for anyone who might benefit from hearing these words. And it's a long meditation, as I said, so if you don't feel the need to listen to it or do it, that's okay. But I'm just going to kind of read it. And if you would like to meditate alongside this text, I encourage you to, put your computer down or your phone down and just listen. This is a healthy reflection on on forgiveness. And you can modify this just as with every other mind-body skill I do in these videos. You can modify it to suit yourself. But of course, start like you would for regular meditation, whatever that might mean. In a comfortable place, maybe a chair, a couch, somewhere you can sit up straight. I'm sitting in a bed, so I can't really sit up as straight as I would like. But, I would ask you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. If not, just soften your gaze towards you. Wherever you might be sitting, just feel your feet. If you're sitting on the floor, feel the floor underneath your legs, your tailbone. Just feel whatever it is that's supporting you in this moment. And just do a quick scan of your body for tension before you do this. Check in with your scalp, your forehead, your jaw. Relax your tongue. Just breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. With every breath, just find those pieces of tension in your body, and with every exhale, just focus on relaxing them. Maybe your shoulders, maybe your shoulder blades, the upper part of your body might be carrying some tension. Some of us carry tension in our chest. So as you breathe, bring all that air down into the deepest part of your lungs. Just exhale and try to let your tension that you've identified go just a tiny bit as we start this meditation. This meditation is really on letting go, forgiveness, however you want to envision it for this exercise. As you breathe, I would like you to think about something that has become a burden for you. Maybe it's an old resentment about a way you were wronged by someone. Perhaps it's something you've done that's burdening you that you might want to let go. Forgive yourself. Maybe it's a situation in your life that's causing you some stress that's outside of your control. Maybe it's even a part of your identity that you don't want to hold on to anymore, that you need to let go. However you want to envision this thing or this issue, just choose one of those issues right now for the sake of this exercise. And I'd like you to think about it as being like a long weight that's stretching across your shoulders. Visualize it. Close your eyes and think about something that's very heavy. Take a breath. Take another until you have an image that you can use for this exercise. You've been carrying this weight on your shoulders all this time. Maybe it's months, maybe it's years, but it's so heavy that it's starting to weigh you down. It's causing pain in your shoulders and your back, and it's limiting your movement. Resentments and harms that have been done to us become like this, like burdens that we carry. They can lead to things like depression or anxiety or even medical problems like headaches or ulcers in your stomach. Making a decision to forgive or just let go of those burdens is not a gift to them, it's a gift to you. Holding on to things that are out of your control, like waiting for someone to apologize, only holds you down. Letting go of those burdens is a healthy choice, but it takes practice and intention. So as you return to focusing on your breathing, I want you to focus on letting go. You can use a mantra like, I am letting go, or just the words, let go, as you breathe in and then exhale. The next step is I want you to visualize that weight that you've brought into your mind that's on your shoulders. I want you to visualize lifting it with your hands. Just lifting it off your shoulders. It represents that one thing that you've chosen today in this meditation that you want to let go. Return to your breath and visualize lifting this burden off of your shoulders, over your head and onto the floor in front of you. When you practice this exercise, you can take all the time you want, you can adapt it, you can just try to find some release in your own way. But that's what I'm going to work on tonight. but I'm going to do that after I have enjoyed some time with my family who have come in from out of town, and hopefully before I get what I really need, which is a really good night's sleep. But I'm also going to listen to Brandi Carlile every time I hear that song. I hope you find some enjoyment in that too.